7 years ago, Kenya received 250 billion shillings in proceeds from the first ever international sovereign bond. It was a handsome sum meant for infrastructure development, general budgetary support, and other debt repayment. Now, on the National Reminder tonight, our very own Victoria Rubadiri revisits the intrigues behind the issuance of Kenya's first Eurobond, the questions on where the money was allocated, and more importantly, how it was spent.
On June 25, 2014, President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed the nation from State House, Nairobi, and announced that the country was to receive an initial 174 billion shillings of what would eventually be a 250 billion shilling international sovereign bond, also known as the Eurobond.
1.5 billion US dollars due in 2024, priced at an interest rate of 6.875%. Indeed, very competitive rates that we were able to achieve.
The Eurobond proceeds were meant for general budget support, including funding for infrastructure and repayment of a syndicated loan. The move was also seen as a way to keep government out of the local debt market and subsequently lower interest rates for Kenyans. And then followed a pledge by President Kenyatta.
I want to assure you that the government will spend this money prudently.
From July 2014, various amounts were disbursed from the sovereign bond account to the National Exchequer account. According to records from the Auditor General, between July 2014 and July 2015, a total of 196.9 billion shillings had been transferred to the National Exchequer. The remaining 53 billion went to the repayment of a syndicated loan that was obtained in 2012. But pointed questions on how the rest of the funds were spent began to emerge. Opposition leader Raila Odinga was the first to cast doubt in a statement sent to newsrooms saying, quote, Kenya's economy cannot absorb that kind of money in 1 year. It is too much. If it was to build infrastructure, we would be seeing those infrastructure developments, end quote. A year later, hopes that the economy would improve with this new injection were fading away. By 2015, interest rates that were supposed to have dropped were hitting a record high of more than 18%. The value of the Kenya shilling against the dollar fell from 87 in 2014 to 102 in 2015. Opposition leader Raila Odinga continued to pile pressure on the government.
Tunauliza hiyo pesa ilijenga barabara gani? Tulitumia bilioni 30 kujenga ile Thika highway. Bado hiyo swali imebaki. Hiyo pesa bilioni 140 imeenda wapi?
The Treasury at pains to explain.
I don't understand why it takes so long to explain this, and the time it's consuming us. We could do many very important things rather than keeping on, raising this. There's no money missing.
Former Treasury CS Henry Rotich gave a further breakdown on where some of the 196.9 billion shillings went. He stated that 64.4 billion shillings went to infrastructure, 44.6 billion shillings went to planning, 21.07 billion shillings to energy and petroleum, 15.06 billion shillings to water and irrigation, and another 14.21 billion shillings was given to agriculture.
The ministries are compiling the very specific projects that they applied on the money that we released to them.
The only explanation from a government official on specific projects that benefited from the Eurobond proceeds came from the Ministry of Energy.
21 billion has already been allocated to us, and it has been used on very many projects: school electrification, transmission lines, geothermal exploration and drilling, all that.
Specific amounts to each of those projects, however, still not clear. Well, this drew in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission that grilled the then Treasury CS and his principal secretary, Kamau Thuge. The allegations of misappropriation angered the president, who issued a warning to naysayers during the 2015 December Jamhuri Day celebrations.
Let me reflect on the Eurobond. Ours was one of the best issues ever on the African continent. Yet some of us contrive to talk it down. If you make accusations and fail to prove them, you too will also be held accountable.
Raila, on the other hand, continued to pile pressure, this time naming individuals he claimed were involved in the misappropriation of funds.
We will not rest until we get to the bottom of this Eurobond matter.
As the political tug-of-war played out, investigations by the Auditor General and his team were extended to the UK, the United States, and Qatar.
If a ministry says we spent so much on development, we do not take it on the basis that they've confirmed they've spent. We need to corroborate, counter, check.
By September 2016, a report by the Auditor General revealed that 215.5 billion shillings from the Eurobond proceeds could not be accounted for. In an earlier report, the Auditor General said the State Department of Water could not account for some 11.2 billion shillings it received from the Eurobond proceeds. The allegations kept the executive on the defense.
The issue about Eurobond money being stolen, my friend, is utter nonsense.
Investigations continued into 2018. The same year, Kenya raised 202 billion shillings from its second Eurobond. At the time, the International Monetary Fund was warning Kenya about its debt burden that stood at 4.8 trillion shillings. Still, in 2019, Kenya issued yet another 200 billion shilling plus Eurobond. The pressure to raise funds heightened as the country would have about 1.1 trillion shillings of its debt stock maturing in a year's time. And in that same year, the Auditor General's investigations into the 2014 Eurobond saga would come to an end, with a special audit report concluding that the proceeds had indeed been deposited in the National Exchequer accounts. However, the big question on the utilization of the first Eurobond proceeds could not be answered. The report showing that none of the funds could be traced to specific development projects. In addition, the Auditor General found that some of the funds were expended outside of the government's Integrated Financial Management Information System, or IFMIS. His final recommendation was that issuance of future international sovereign bonds be attached to specific development projects. Whether that was followed in the second and the third Eurobonds is not known. Now, the National Treasury is once again planning to go back to the international markets to raise a 124 billion shilling fourth Eurobond issue. The Treasury CS, however, telling Citizen TV earlier,
there's no plan to have another Eurobond at the moment.
At the moment, however, Kenya is staring at a public debt stock of an unprecedented 7.12 trillion shillings. Part of it is arising from the controversial Eurobond proceeds. That's your national reminder of the week, lest you forget.